Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the break, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Well, good day to you all. It's Betting Weekly Live, and you with Steve Wyss and Jack Wright. How's it going, everyone? I hope you've had a great betting week, Jack. Welcome onto the show. And how's the international window? I think James Easton was asked this question by Dan yesterday. Are you a yay or a nay for international windows?
Oh, don't like them, mate. No, I don't like them. I'll be honest with you. I find them hard as a betting perspective. And I find it interrupts the flow of where we're just getting into the season, just getting that kind of element of early season form together in the book that you can use, all your ratings, etc., and then that potentially goes a little bit out of the window with players flying all over the world, and you got to try and keep track of what's going on with them there. So yeah, not for me. No, not for me. I love the tournaments, the build up to them, and especially these kind of either friendlies or the sort of not slightly less meaningless games. Just they irritate me a bit.
I didn't want this one. I've got to be honest. I didn't mind the one so much in August because August was so hectic. I needed a little bit of a break. But I was really getting into the club football, getting some good reads, getting some good results. I think we all were really. It just feels like a needless time, to break it up again. But it is what it is, isn't it? You just got to try and, what I'm doing now with international breaks. I'm kind of focusing on select games where I'm like, well, I look at odds and I'm thinking, oh, that stands out. So do a bit more research into it. And see if it's viable or not. And there's certain games I'm just not even going to look into because I just don't really feel there's going to be much betting potential. If I get a tip off from Team News or something, then of course I'm going to then investigate. But you can't burn yourself, can you? International breaks.
You can swamp yourself with needless stuff, I think. And you look at a lot of these games where you've got a plus 800 favourite and stuff like that. Then what angles have you got? They don't need to go and beat a side 4-5-0 to cover a handicap. Players don't need to do X, Y, and Z. They're going to get rest. They're going to get rotated. We saw that. Someone's already mentioned England, but no one could really have predicted that England lineup yesterday. And then you put yourself in a position, and quite often you see, don't you? Like you might take an early position on a what you would assume to be right. And then it goes completely against you and you're in trouble simply because of the team selection, especially when these games come thick and fast after a real intense period of domestic football, another intense period coming up, and 2 games sandwiched in the space of 4 days. England, for example, at home and then away to Finland. And that obviously happens all over the world. And it's tough.
Welcome in, everyone. Rick, Diski, Duncan, good to see you. Who all lost money last night? Asked Rick. I think there'd have been quite a lot of people on handicaps, on parlays or whatever. Yesterday was a great day, despite England destroying a couple of parlays, says Faddy. Took England versus Greece over 1.5 goals at half time and thought Greece would score. That was a nice little play from Player Cam there. And, there were, I would shout out to James Easton on the show yesterday, by the way. He was in the winners yet again. With his best bet cashing in South America, shots on target bets as well. But I think even James got undone by the England game a little bit. I think we all kind of did.
I'll be honest. I didn't see that result coming at all, but I did manage to get profit out of it purely by playing in play because how stretched it was towards the end. I took a late play on goals, and obviously that came in. It looked like it was going to come in several times. I was swearing at VAR and thinking, how many times is this going to? It's one of them nights.
3 disallowed, 4 disallowed goals. Mad.
It was 3, I think, wasn't it? 3, yeah. All
crazy.
Rightly so, but close calls, most of them. So it certainly was a deserved win, and well done to Greece for that performance. And will it save England in the long term? Perhaps, maybe with their management situation. We will wait and see.
Biggest soccer winner at Bet Rivers yesterday was on Norway. Norway on the -75 handicap against Slovenia. nearly $15,000 bet on that. I know that wasn't you, Jack. I know you were actually on the opposite.
Okay, I was trying to forget that, Steve.
Other winners: Yankees -1.5 live was a winner, 15,000. And the NFL, Deebo Samuel, someone bagged him to get over 99.5 rush and receiving yards at +290 at 15 grand. Very nice winner indeed. That on the NFL. How everyone was winning last night. Over on the NFL. And what are you betting on today in the soccer, in the baseball later on? Let us know your picks in the chat. Welcome in, everyone. And we better get straight into the action, actually, Jack, because there's a match that I want to talk about straight away. It kicks off in 55 minutes' time. This is the UEFA Nations League, Estonia against Azerbaijan. Now, some might look at this and think, what's the point in even talking about this game? Well, I've got a few strong things to say here about Estonia. I'm going to put it out there, Jack. I think they are one of the worst nations in European soccer. There's not many worse than them, in my opinion. And they're +210 on the money line today. The ties +205, and Azerbaijan are the favourites at +148. Now, I'm not saying Azerbaijan are much better. They're not a great side, but I can't get away from Azerbaijan here on the -0.25 Asian handicap at +108 with Bet Rivers, because you get half your stake back if it ends a draw. I don't see them losing this game. Estonia very rarely get results, and I'm just trying to find my actual stats for this game, and I can't do it right now. But I do know that they, apart from something called the Baltic Cup, right, which I don't actually really know what it is. Have you come across that before?
I saw the results from it. Yeah.
Estonia's results, aside from that, in the last 2 years, are absolutely appalling. Some of the stats that they've had in their matches, they get, they're taking so many shots against them. It's crazy. Just looking back now, 3-0 loss to Sweden. That could have been 10-0. They were that bad in that game. And they were very, very fortunate to the second half. They didn't run into more. Azerbaijan, for me, if this was actually in Azerbaijan, I'd be all over them. They're not such good travellers, but their results tend to be closer. You just tell by just looking at the match stats, things like that. Yes, they lose games, but they're much closer in the stats and the metrics. And
they've got Fernando Santos in charge, haven't they? Azerbaijan, who made his name. 8 years in charge of Portugal.
Yeah, he's in charge. He was appointed in the summer, June.
Yeah.
Most of the squad is a mixture of, their best players are going to be Karabag players, or there's another couple of teams in Azerbaijan called Nevsky Baku, and a couple of others who I'm not even going to try and pronounce. So it's quite a domestic-based rank of players. But, Karabag are not that bad. We've seen them in the last couple of years. And as I say, for me, Estonia are awful. There's not many teams worse than them, Jack. I can't get away from betting against them here. Kicks off in 50 minutes time now. Minus a quarter ball for me. Don't know if you got any thoughts on these two teams. Am I being too harsh on Estonia here?
Mate, I think Estonia, there's a few teams, isn't there, or nations that you look at and you go, right, I'm just going to fade them. You pretty much go, it's Estonia versus, and you go, I'll fade them, and then find out who the team is they're playing. Unless it's like Gibraltar or someone like that, then you probably go with it. But I actually had down, and we haven't discussed our plays, have we? I actually had Azerbaijan on the money line. Looks quite good to me at +148, a little bit more aggressive. And I actually quite like the look of the over 2 Asian total here. It's not often you can play someone who has to swim in the murky waters of the Premier League, like an over 2 Asian line. You said there's a lot of shots here, and I also think this is one of those games that if these sides, Estonia aren't going to win this one, they're pretty much not going to win any, are they? Throughout the course of the tournament, and they're down. So over 2 Asian, I think they might have to have a bit of a go here and could leave the back door open. So I think at -129, that looks like a way in if you want to be a bit more cautious. But yeah, I couldn't take away from what you've said already.
Yeah, I found my notes now. Estonia have lost 14 of their last 16 matches if you exclude this Baltic Cup, which I'm still not sure what it's about. They did win 2 matches in that against the Faroes and Lithuania. No idea how strong the 11s were. 10 of those losses have been to 0. That is a staggering, that's a damning stat, isn't it? I was also looking at Azerbaijan on the -1 Asian handicap at +350.
Yeah.
Now, these two actually met not that long ago, 2023, and Azerbaijan won this fixture 2-0 away in Estonia. that same scoreline here would cover the -1 Asian.
Mm.
So, yeah, I'm strongly in that
Nice.
court. You like the over 2 goals. That match kicks off in 50 minutes' time. So, get your wagers down there if you're interested in betting on that game. Disky said you went over 2.5 in the England game. You were celebrating late on, weren't you?
Several
England
times.
Was shocking. England was shocking at the back. They were shocking full stop. That's could have its own episode, couldn't it? J Rod said he had a great night in the NFL. Were any of you caught out by Jordan Mason's rushing yards? I saw a lot of moaning people on Twitter. I think he came off injured about 5 yards short of his rushing line and didn't come back into the game or something like that. And it's the usual crowd claiming, well, I'm not going to use those words, but you know what I mean. I think there's a
don't
few
do that. Whatever you
bettors around. Who got?
Hey, I've got a go-to bet in the NFL with the Seahawks, and that's the Geno Smith line. The line's normally set around plus 250 passing yards, and he smashed it for most of the season so far. I took a big line on it a couple of weeks ago, and that cruised in, and then it got there in the fourth quarter, the game before last, and I think he was over 300 again last night. So yeah, that's if that line keeps getting set at 250, I'm all over it.
Cod Gaming says cards, 5 Asian cards. Which match are we talking about here, Cod? Not sure about that one.
Estonia, I guess.
South Africa, Congo over 2.5. Says Disky. So that's the African nations. We were going to be talking about them, but in the end, we decided to focus on other games. But there is a full round of Nations Cup qualifiers, I do believe, in Africa. I don't tend to get involved in those too often. I know you've been known to double occasionally, Jack. But
only when forced or paid.
We're going to go down to the other games now in the Nations League. Where shall we go? Slovakia, Sweden, because I know there's a player that you really want to talk about here. Slovakia are plus 165 now. Sweden into plus 170. This is a genuine pick'em game, a proper pick'em really, and the over/under line is right on the margin as well. Over 2.5 goals at minus 103. So Slovakia, Sweden. Which side do you fancy? But more importantly, you're looking at a player here, aren't you? And it won't be a surprise for who it is.
No, not really. Mate, you nailed it. It's a pick'em game, and I can't, so I'm leaving that market and watching it unfold. But yeah, I'll put together a parlay, which we're going to put at the end of the show. But one of those legs is here, and it's Victor Gyökeres to score. I think he's a great price. If pushed, I'd probably side with Sweden to get it. I'm kind of surprised they're at this level. Really, they were in League A a couple of years ago, haven't they? And suffered consecutive relegations or demotions, whatever we're calling it. But Gyökeres is an insane talent. Obviously, seen him through the EFL here in England in the Championship for Coventry. Done superbly well, and that's carried on. And his record for Sporting Lisbon is sensational. And it's the same as far as the internationals are concerned as well. And I would be stunned if he's not playing for what you classify as a top 4 side in one of the major leagues come the next season or so. I think he's just a brilliant goal scorer. So he's got 3 goals in the Nations League so far. 5 goals across 4 wins for Sporting since the last appearance in the Nations League. He's got 11 goals in 8 league games for Sporting this season. He scored in 7 of those 8 games as well. So he's just one of those real consistent players that you can just back to score. And in Portugal, you're normally getting him at probably minus 150, sometimes even worse than that as far as to score at that level. So when you can get him as an opportunity to score at plus money, I like to take it, and I think he's got a great chance here. So he scored 55 goals in 61 appearances across all competitions for Sporting. He's got 2 in the Champions League, scored in both games in the Champions League for them this season as well. So he can do it he's not a flat track bully. Sometimes you see stats and people go, oh yeah, well, he scored 3 against this side, that side, that side. When he comes up against the better opposition, draws a blank. But he's on penalties. I did see his last penalty, so I hope he's been practicing them since then. But yeah, for me, he looks like a real good price to get on the score sheet in this game, which, as you say, is a bit of a pick'em. No Isak, of course, tonight for Sweden either, so all the responsibilities will go on to him to be grabbing the goals.
I have to apologise for the interruption here with one of my cats. He was a bit under the weather today. He was sick earlier, so I think he wants a bit of attention. Poor Kit Kat, he's called. He doesn't make too many appearances on here, but yeah, look, Gyökeres is a top quality player. Yeah. I quite like what I've seen from Sweden recently. I think they've been lacking a player like him for years. if I'm being honest. And I think they went in the doldrums, Sweden, but they're back on the rise again. I'd go with them if I had to pick a side here, but I think you're right. I think the Gyökeres angle is far better. Abdul says Sweden to score over 1.5 goals. That's not a bad. I mean, they're scoring a lot of goals recently, so that's not a bad bet. And the cards that the COD was on about is Estonia. And Duncan, that's an interesting comment. I remember that goal. Everyone remembers where they were, I think, when that goal was scored back in 2002, the Beckham free kick at Old Trafford. I was at Thirst Races that day, of all places. But yeah, maybe pencil us in for the World Cup. I'm not sure about that based on the performance. But let's continue with... let's go to actually Iceland against Wales actually now, because I was really, really debating hard whether I wanted to bet against Wales here today. And Iceland tie no bet is my lean for the fixture, because I just worry. I mean, Wales are under Bellamy. You know, Bellamy ball is going to be very much how Burnley played under, Company. They're going to pass it around nicely, and they could become a really good nation, actually. But sometimes you need the players. And, first question is, have Wales really got the players for it? And the second question is the situation. They are away in Iceland in, mid-October, and it's pretty cold up there. It's going to be about -4, -5 tonight. I don't know what sort of state the pitch is going to be in. This might not suit Wales. So I was debating on taking them on, but I do quite like what I've seen from him in the last window. There seems to be a good vibe about the Welsh under Bellamy, and Iceland are a difficult side to get a read on. I think they are back on the up again after a difficult period. So my lean would be Iceland tie no bet +112. Not that confident really enough to have it as a pick. But what's your view on Wales at the minute? I mean, is it it's going to take a while for Bellamy to get this in, or has he already made such an impact?
It's early days, isn't it? And I think you might well see Wales perform well against the lesser nations. So in this competition where you're kind of a similar group, then they should do okay. We've seen it before, as you've rightly said there, with Company, with Southampton in the Premier League this season. Those sides that do what they do, that playing from the back through the lines is good at a certain level. As soon as they step up a level and start taking on the better players that can press harder, press better, set traps and catch them out, then they're in trouble. And I wouldn't suggest that Wales have got the players to do it against the top side. They might well be okay. And as you rightly say, it's Reykjavik tonight, isn't it? So we'll have to wait and see on weather conditions. As you say, they do play a part, and pitch conditions as well. If you want to play that kind of soccer, you need it to be a fairly decent surface. So yeah, jury out a little bit. There's no Nathan, no Ampadu, is there? One of your boys at Leeds who's out for a while. That's a blow for them as well. So they brought in Joe Allen. So to go into that midfield role, who's getting on a little bit now, bless him. But it's rich for me to say it, but he is, yeah. So yeah, I think
no bet game for you.
One. No, really. If you're forcing a lean, I'd probably reckon that both teams can get on the score sheet. I've gone for both teams to score at -112 if you're looking for a lean on the game from me.
Turkey against Montenegro now. Turkey strong favourites to win this game, -385 on the money line. Both teams did actually meet in the World Cup 2022 qualifying rounds, and this fixture ended a 2-2 draw. Turkey won the other match 2-1. Turkey usually very, very good team for overs. I mean, anyone watching them in the European Championship would have realised that, and I think over 3 Asian goals is a bit of a no-brainer when Turkey are involved at home. They did have that strange 0-0 against Wales. Not really sure how that happened, to be honest with you. But this is a different thing now. They're actually at home. Montenegro are not a great nation, are they? They're not terrible, but they're not that great. They'll probably give it a good go. And I think at worst, this would be a push on the over 3. I mean, the danger score would be 2-0 Turkey, I suppose, if they dominate as you expect. But knowing what they are like, they're going to try and entertain, especially at home, where the fans demand, they keep playing right until the last minute, really. So over 3 goals, this was, just sort of an average pick for me, really, today. I thought it just looked a no-brainer and quite a safe selection. I don't know if you've got anything to add for this game.
Yeah, well, Turkey, I think for me, they were kind of typically Turkey, really. They were awful against Wales. They got battered, didn't they? I think Wales racked up over 2 xg in that 0-0.
I don't know what happened in that game. It was so strange.
They had loads of shots. They had about 24
Mm.
shots, I think, Wales, and Turkey only had like 4 or 5. It was the most one-sided 0-0 you'll see. And then they went and smashed Iceland apart. So I thought, I think I put these as one of those nations that when they're at home, you want to get them on side. As you say, you want to get goals. It's normally quite exciting. They don't tend to keep many clean sheets at all. My lean on here, I've got a parlay pick for this, which we can come to at the end, but my lean was for Turkey to win at half-time and full-time. That's minus 129. Montenegro lost their last 4 and they were behind at half-time in all of them. And, of course, they went 2 down against Wales inside 3 minutes. So, and I think at home, Turkey, one of those sides that can start quick and put this game to bed to a certain degree inside the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, that was crazy. To be 2-0 down at home to Wales in 5 minutes was unbelievable. Half-time, full-time there. They have lost their last 4 international games. 3 of them by more than a 2-goal margin or more. I suspect Montenegro a little bit on the down area. I think Turkey will outclass them. They might get on the score sheet because Turkey just always give you a chance. Yeah. So for me, that was why the over 3 Asian. I've got to admit there might be a decent chance of a push on that over 3 Asian. With 3-0 especially could be in play. But if Montenegro do net, I think that definitely goes over the 3 Asian goal line for sure.
I didn't check Turkey team total, to be fair, Steve, because I had a couple of plays in that I liked, so I didn't go any further than that. But I don't know. Obviously, talking about, and I expect as well, 3 minimum goals in this, so you'd think Turkey going to do the heavy lifting in that one.
Yeah, you can get over 2.5 Turkey team total goals at plus 115, which maybe that might be even a bit of better bet, possibly, because
options.
There's options, isn't there, for there? We move on to we've still got a couple of really big games to talk about, actually. Let's go to Bosnia against Germany. Now, I've got a really strong pick on this game, personally, and I might have a few. I mean, I've been a bit scathing of a few nations on this show today. For me, Bosnia are starting to become really poor in terms of European soccer national teams. And this is why now Germany, I mean, fast forward, 12, 18 months ago, this would be unheard. You wouldn't ever imagine that Germany would be such a price because they were in the doldrums a little bit, but they're minus 400 on the money line to win. Bosnia, you can get actually at plus 900 now. They have been nibbled a little bit today. The goal line is between 3.5 and 3.25. Germany, how good are Germany these days, Jack? And how bad are Bosnia? Is this a mismatch?
100%. This is the biggest mismatch of this group of games for me. Bosnia, awful, terrible, and they're in Group A. I had to check my eyes when I saw this, thinking, how have Bosnia managed to get there? Have they won a competition? Have they not as in a tournament, but a lucky dip for something? Because how are they there? I don't know. They've still got Edin Dzeko up front, and he's still scoring goals in Turkey now, isn't he? But it's come on, these two sides are massively miles apart. And you can see that in the rankings. And Germany are 13th, and I think they're a little bit better than that because I think they had that little tail off, didn't they? And they now come back a little bit. Bosnia are 75th. So what's the idea of the Nations League? You assume you're going to have sides that are nations that are quite close together. Well, this isn't the case here, is it? This is like an absolute complete mismatch.
The same has happened with Israel, by the way, in their group as well. They're nowhere near the level of the other teams in there. They've got a tough group, it must be said. But I mean, for me, I think Germany could win this massive. And for me, the minus 1.75 Asian handicap at plus 107. I mean, it's not often I have that handicap as my best bet of the day, but it's got to be my best bet of the day. I think. I mean, the words of Simon. This is one of these, Simon Holden, Sergeant Slaughters. This could be. I mean, I've got some crazy stats for you. In the last 4 games, Bosnia have conceded 92 shots with 26 on target. At the other end of the field, they've had 21 shots themselves, 8 on target. I mean, they're getting absolutely pummeled by sides. Yeah. Germany, you can actually bet the shots market with Bet Rivers. Germany, over 20.5 shots at plus 155. That could definitely happen. 18.5 is on offer as well at minus 114. I just think they dominate from start to finish. Bosnia have lost 11 of their last 14 internationals. The only 2 wins in that period were against Liechtenstein. Now, San Marino beat Liechtenstein. That's how bad Liechtenstein are. Congrats to Liechtenstein, by the way. They did end their 41-game winless run, didn't they, by beating Hong Kong a day or 2 ago. So well done to Liechtenstein. But, Bosnia are awful. I mean, they did draw 0-0 against Hungary last time out. And that I absolutely did my dough on that game. I lost pre-game. I lost in running everything. But Hungary absolutely murdered them somehow. The goalkeeper, it was by far the best player, Nikola Vazi. Is it Vazilic? Plays for St. Pauli, and he's going to be busy at club and country level.
Wow, yeah.
So this season. So look, minus 1.75 on Germany. I mean, what would your bet for the game be?
Oh, I've got 3 down here. I couldn't wait to get. Yeah, I couldn't wait to get. I'm loading in. I'm loading in.
Come on, then. I'm ruining my hands here, Jack, because this is going to be tasty.
My best bet's in this one as well. Look, if you want to be a little bit safe, half-time, full-time is minus 134. I put Germany minus 2 Asian handicap down on this at plus 128. I thought I'd say that all day long. And I've gone over 3.5 goals in the match at plus 120. So they were my 3 picks in that one. And the over 3.5 goals is my bet of the day. I see Germany scored at least 4 here. I do. I think we've made it clear that we're not massive supporters of Bosnia. So apologies to all Bosnians that are in the chat. They might have left by now.
I think they'd probably agree with us. Really, they just this isn't what Bosnia 5 years ago. It was a tough place to go. It was.
Yeah.
It's changed now. I think the damning result in this recent run of 11 defeats in 14 was when Portugal came to town and beat them 5-0, and that's a similar class to what Germany are. Yeah. And I think Germany do put them. I agree with you. Score at least 3-4 goals here.
Yeah. Netherlands done them 5-2, didn't they? Recently in this competition, they done them 5-2. And you said about Bosnia drawing with Hungary. Germany beat Hungary 5-0. So all the form lines are pointing towards what we've now been talking about. And that was similar to what I said about that Wales game. Super one-sided, 0-0, and fair play to the keeper. So he'll have sore hands at the end of the season, that boy, won't he?
Yeah, Germany minus 1.75 Asian handicap for me. 3 bets from Jack, including his best bet of the day, over 3.5 goals there at plus money. Let's hope Germany do us a favour this evening. Same group, Hungary versus Netherlands. When I first saw Hungary here at plus 400, I actually thought, do you know what? That just instantly felt quite big. I watched them in the qualifying for the Euros, and they weren't that bad in the Euros. But then, they've struggled to start this campaign, and the Netherlands have kicked on, I think it's fair to say, in the last 6 months. So suddenly Netherlands at minus 141 or minus 148 now might be a good bet. And the biggest soccer bet today at Bet Rivers is on this game so far. Netherlands money line, nearly $50,000 bet straight on the nose. Actually got them at minus 139. Do you think that bettor is going to be cashing a ticket at the end of this game?
I wouldn't want to be back. I wouldn't want to be back in Netherlands at that price, to be perfectly honest with you, because I think they are that type of nation that can just. I'm never a fan of Koeman either, and I think they're just a nation that can throw one in for you, especially if you're backing them away from home. Where Hungary are no mugs. I think they've suffered the curse of the dark horse, haven't they? Like they were given the dark horse treatment in the Euros, didn't quite work out for them there. But at home, they are a difficult side to beat. I'm not going to use your catchphrase, but they are a difficult side to beat on home soil. Unbeaten in the last 11 at home. So that guy, fair play, he's going ballsy, taking a big bet on Netherlands. Again, if you were giving me a free bet, I would likely stick it on Netherlands. But Hungary a little bit of a funk, but I couldn't be backing them really, and I wouldn't want to be taking Netherlands at that price. My lean on this is just going down a goal score route, because I think there might be a couple, and Gakpo's in great form for his country. So at plus 180, he'd be where my smaller stake than the matey boy put on, but I'd be go with Gakpo at plus 180.
I've got 3 prop bets for this game, which I'm going to have some small stakes on. And I'm going, I know, I'm going into the shot. I'm taking a leaf out of James Eastham's book here. I'm going with Dominic Soboslai for a shot on target at minus 136. Roland Shalai who I think you back him in the Euros.
I did.
Shall I?
Yeah,
Top scorer with Hungary.
no, I didn't. Sorry, I went with the other guy, the guy who got knocked out against Scotland.
Oh yeah,
my
you
memory.
did. Yeah, sorry, I got my
Yeah.
mistake. Anyway, shall I for a shot on target -125 as well? And the Netherlands, they're a team when they dominate games tend to rack up quite a lot of shots. Now, Bet Rivers are offering the total shots market for matches and team totals, and you can get over 15.5 Netherlands shots at -103 for those who like to play those markets. They've got a lot of players who just like to fire on goal, really. And not so much when they are an underdog, like for example, England, Netherlands in the quarterfinals of the Euros. You know, they don't rack them up, but when they dominate, and they should dominate territorially here, I think they'll take a few pop shots in this. Varga, that was who you were on, wasn't it?
Barnabas Varga, yeah.
DI today, yes, we will recap the bets at the end. Kirk says Ukraine, Georgia, both teams to score at -120. Welcome into Ian as well. Matt Valenciano, he's got a parlay here. Netherlands on the money line, Germany -1.5, Iceland +0.5, Czech Republic money line. I don't know what odds that would be, but yeah, I'd have to look at that Czech game actually. The other three, I would probably would agree with. They were free.
Czechs, Albania,
yeah,
I think a little bit underrated, aren't they? But yeah,
we're going to talk about that game now. Actually,
well, good timing.
Again, Czech Republic, Albania. Saw quite a few tipping over 2.5 goals in this game. Actually, Albania are one of them teams I don't get right very often. I've got to be honest. So as soon as I saw them pop up on the, I said earlier in the piece that I'm just looking to avoid certain games unless something obvious stands out. And for me, this was a no bet affair. Czech Republic at -175, Albania 5-1 shot here. It is plus money on over 2.5 goals, which I think that might interest a few people here. But
it interests Raymond Reddington, and I agree with him. That's on my sheet of paper as well. Both teams to score plus.
But is this a pick or a lean or what?
Nah, just a lean. Just a lean.
A lean. Yeah.
Same as you, really. Like there's
difficult side, aren't they? Czech Republic as well.
Yeah, these are two nations that I'd look at and go, I've not got real strong opinions on either. Albania beat the Czechs 3-0 last October. So there's relative, like a year ago, relative form lines there. And so I think Albania are a little bit underrated, but yeah, I can see why people are going with the Czechs at home. There was an interesting one for in the research. I noticed that Albania have got a player that actually plays at this ground and plays for Sparta Prague. So he's very familiar with this, the territory and the surrounds of the pitch. So that's Kazim Laki, I believe.
Former Ajaccio player.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So I knew you'd come clutch. Yeah.
Used to play in France. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'll have that. Well, he's at Sparta Prague now. And I just looked at some of his props actually for the game because he's, I say, playing on home soil, away from home, if that makes sense. -134 for a shot of any description anywhere, plus 295 for a shot on target, and he's plus 1100 to score. Now, he scored in the Champions League win against Salzburg, and he was also the goal scorer in the Euros for Albania against Croatia. So not a complete forlorn hope there. So I think any of those, depending on your risk, aversion to risk, will be where you want to go with that. That would be sort of one of my leans, and both teams to score, I think, is a nice price at plus money for how these two sides play. They met here 9 months ago. It was 1-1.
He used to be on free kick duty in Ajaccio, so don't know whether he is for his home actual nation.
I should have done a bit more digging.
Never know. So that's an interesting one there. Just final Nations League game, Ukraine, Georgia. I think there's a couple of BTTS comments here. They like that here. I can tell you now that Ukraine are the favourites at plus 118 and Georgia at plus 250. Again, it's plus money for over 2.5 goals. Ukraine are missing a lot of players for this match, which I've got to mention. Zinchenko, Stepanenko, Malinovsky, Michaelenko, Brazko, Yarmolenko, and Shigankov, who I never pronounced right. I did my best there. They're all unavailable for Ukraine. So that's significant team news. Some might look at that price on Ukraine and think that's quite big. Of course, it's played on neutral territory as well. I was looking at Georgia Tino Bet as a lean for this game, but sometimes, I mean, how good are Georgia? They're decent, they're improving. But if Ukraine do turn up, then I don't know. I'm not going to actually bet the game, but I think Georgia tie no bet plus 143 did interest me. What's your take?
Yeah, I think Georgia have been very undervalued in this one. I do. I say neutral territory. It's in Poland, isn't it? So, and Georgia have been impressive. I think they won everyone's hearts, didn't they, at Euro 2024? The way they went about it, everyone was underdogs, and they surprised people were getting out of the group, and how they did it as well. They weren't setting up base camp in their own penalty area. They went about it and played through the lines, played some attacking football. And obviously got a couple of very, very strong, great talents up top, and they've got a decent spine other side, haven't they? So I think they're good value in whatever derivative, either if you want to go bold on the money line or say take a tie no bet angle. Absolutely right. Willie Samuel's done a superb job there, hasn't he? And now they've got an opportunity to actually get promoted from the D level right through to the A level. This will be unheard of. No one's ever done it before. So only been beaten 3 times in the last 13 internationals. 2 of those were by Spain. So I think you've got to say that they're a really big price in this one. And I've looked at, for my leans on it, I've looked at a couple of their players. Obviously, they're main men. And the one that I will fall back on is the guy that I've talked about a lot before and backed him from his days playing in the second tier in Belgium. And that's George Mikotadze, who's not had the great start at Lyon.
This could be a chance to rebound, though. I mean, he's plus, this is interesting here, plus 265 to score anytime, but he's plus 215 just to have 2 or more shots on target. I mean, I'm almost inclined to think that the shots on target's the better angle, unless you're one of those who believes you're just going to have 1 shot and score with it. I don't know. But I mean, either way, he's a value player at international level. He's proven scorer for Georgia. And you like him to get something here?
Yeah, I've done him to score anytime, plus 265. He scored in the opening game, I think, didn't he, in the Nations League? So he's off the mark already, although he hasn't scored for Lyon yet.
I'm just responding there to D.I.C. Dave. That is the Albanian player. His name, there's a hyphen underneath the C, I think, actually, there as well, which is not on my keyboard. Mikotadze is I think is one to watch here. There was a doubt. I did read there was a slight doubt over the fitness of Kvaratskhelia, which I think he is going to start. But if he wasn't starting, Mikotadze definitely would be on the penalty duty. Yeah. Which would help as well. He might be on it anyway. They sometimes split it, these two, depending on the situation and how selfish Kvaratskhelia is feeling. But that's the...
he scored 7. Sorry, he scored 7 in his last 11 Nations League games, hasn't he? And obviously he was their main man. But yeah, let's go with the sort of the number 2 in that respect.
You've got a parlay for us, Jack, and again, I've got to congratulate you for a brilliant same-game parlay on the last Premier League show, 10-1 hit, which was pretty comfortable, really. You were counting down the numbers on that. It was a brilliant pick, and you've got an even bigger parlay here, so it's 3 legs only. Take us through it, and one involves a Spanish Segunda game.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Unfortunately, I couldn't get hold of Rory, who would have been nice for me to get a voucher on this one, but it was good that one, and also the last time we were on here together, I put up one which missed by 1 goal, didn't it? So hopefully we'll go better this time around. I've mentioned a couple of the lines I've got on here. It's just 3 lines, and it is Gorkarest to score, who was plus 190 when I put this together just before the show. For Turkey, I've gone for Atacoglu to score at plus 125, who's on absolute fire for the club and country at the moment. He's plays for Benfica. He's been doing sensationally well. I've just now got his goals here that he scored. He scored 8 goals in his last 8 matches for club and country. Got a hat-trick in the last game against Iceland, and he also had 1 ruled out by VAR in that game. And he only got 14 minutes against Wales. He drew a blank in that one, but he only played for 14 minutes, so we can forgive him that. He scored in both his Champions League games for Benfica this season as well. So in absolute brilliant form. And we fancy some goals in that for Turkey, don't we? So at plus 125, I like that a lot. So that's second leg. The Segunda match you talked about is Zaragoza, who are away. Tino bet here at plus 118. I kind of fancy on the money line at a big price. That they've had a tricky start to the season, but what they've done is they've kind of lost to the sides that are in the top. Their defeats have come against sides that are all in the top 7, and when they've played sides at the bottom, they've beaten them, and they're playing rock bottom tonight. So put Tino bet for a little bit of security in that. So as long as they avoid defeat, we don't lose anything. Obviously, we need the win for that to come good on that as a final leg. But it pays 1,322, so 1,322. So 13 to 1 as far as that one is concerned. So it should give us a run later on this evening.
That's Kerim Atatoglu, isn't it?
Aktoglu, yeah.
Aktoglu. I've just written it down there in the comments. That is the parlay.
That's it.
Those two players to score, and the Zaragoza. Ignore the V on the end of Zaragoza. I've typed that wrong. That's the Zaragoza game is in Segunda, Spanish Segunda division. And that parlay is a 13 to 1. We've got one more game to talk about before we go. This is World Cup qualifying South America. And we've got Peru against Uruguay. Uruguay are the favourites, plus 102, around about even money with Bet Rivers. And Peru are winless. They're the only team in South American World Cup qualifying without a win. Uruguay have drawn their last 2 games 0-0. I mean, when was the last time a Bielsa team drew 0-0 consecutively? This is what happened. Now, there's been a lot of talk in the media. I mean, Luis Suarez came out and has criticised Bielsa's handling of the team in the summer in the Copa America. Valverde came out 2 or 3 weeks ago and mentioned something as well. A lot of Uruguay players in the last window were missing. It must be mentioned for suspensions in particular. They're all back now. It's pretty much a full-strength team for Uruguay. And I guess the question mark is this, unrest and turmoil in camp something that has to be taken seriously, or can Uruguay rebound here? Because realistically, they are a lot better than Peru, to be honest. But I'm not sure I fancy trusting Uruguay with my money at a price of around evens. I don't know about you, Jack.
No, it's a tough one, isn't it? I think that from Suarez was a real bombshell, and so the fact it's been backed up by the skipper. There was talk that Nunes was in tears in the changing room because Bielsa went at him. So yeah, a bit of a shocker that to be fair. So that then does cast doubt absolutely. And Peru got a good result, didn't they? Last time out, they drew with Colombia. So who up until last night suffered from the dizzy heights of Bolivia, were unbeaten for 27 games, was it, something like that? So that's not to be sniffed at. So I see a comment in there. It's not a bad shout. I don't think there's many goals in this one, to say the least. So yeah, Peru double chance under 4.5 goals. I don't know the price on that, but yeah, Uruguay has internal problems. Absolutely spot on. So I was looking at an angle to try and get something on side where lacking of goals. I'd potentially looked at Peru under 0.5 goals. Both teams to score no in this is a heavy favourite, isn't it? But you can get Peru not to score at plus money, which was a little bit of a surprise. But yeah, I think that has really put the cat amongst the pigeons as far as trying to trust Uruguay now that news has come out and how they're going to react to that. Your thoughts?
Well, when this qualifying campaign started off, I was backing Uruguay overs blind, and it worked for me really well, because I know what Bielsa's like. I've got a soft spot for Bielsa, as you might imagine. As a Marseille and a Leeds fan, of course I've got a soft spot for him, and I can get a bit blindsided with. I nearly thought about, shall I just lump on them here at even money? Because, if Uruguay show their class, this could look a silly price at the end of the day. Yeah. But these internal problems do worry me. Ian's completely right. That would be an interesting bet under 4.5 goals and Peru double chance. Peru are not just going to, sit down and have their tummies tickled, Jack. This is, South American World Cup qualifying. This is their last chance to get back in the race. They've got to win this game, really. And it's wide open. Look, Bolivia are in the dizzy heights of 6th place. We could... what a time to be alive for Bolivia. The goal that they won with them yesterday.
What a goal.
How many people were on Bolivia and trusted them at altitude? I wish I'd got on them, to be honest. I just didn't think they could beat Colombia. I think Colombia, for me, are the best side in South America right now. I think Brazil are awful, and I think Argentina, not the Argentina that won the World Cup. I think they're good, but they're not as good as then. Colombia are a top class side. So for Bolivia to do that, well done.
Two were 10 men as well, Steve. That was incredible. That was the thing, because I not my own work, but I followed someone that was suggested Bolivia to win either half, and that was plus money. And I thought that was well up against it when they had reduced to 10 men. So yeah, fair play for what they've done there. That's incredible stuff. But yeah, Peru are rock bottom, aren't they? So they do need something from this game. And Nunes is back for Uruguay, isn't he? But still not. The suspension is kind of been temporarily lifted, and they've still got to investigate it some more or something. But he's available for this game, so whether that makes a difference or not, I don't know. But yeah, they've given some guys at home. They've given teams a tough go, haven't they? So I think we'll hand it over to Ian, shall we? And go with that as the play.
Well, my point being when I was talking about this section is that, I mean, I've just looked back at the last 5 match days. There's not been that many big wins. I mean, Bolivia's 4-0 against, I think it was Venezuela, was one of the big wins in this period. And Argentina, I think, had a 3-0 win against someone, Chile, who were very poor that day. But a lot of draws, a lot of tight wins. It feels like quite a close section. So I think it's a dangerous match to get involved in. I can tell you now, whatever the outcome, I'm going to be angry because I'll feel like I should have had a winner. But I'm not going to get involved. This is 2:30 in the morning UK time. So what's this? 9:30 Eastern. So I need to get myself tucked away in bed. Otherwise, I'm going to I'll succumb to something. Bielsa is a seduction. Bielsa's a seduction. He is seriously. I'm too easy got with him.
Yeah,
but,
you lead lot of in love still, aren't you?
I know. You never forget him. You never forget that love. So, right, best bet before we go. And what was that again? Can you recap that, Jack, for us?
Certainly, yeah. It's over 3.5 goals in Bosnia versus Germany, and that was plus money. What's the? I can't remember the exact price. I'll get it.
Plus 115 for over 3.5 goals.
Oh, was it? It was plus 120 when I done my notes, so a little bit of money for it. Happy days.
There you go. People have been backing it live on air, and yeah, for me the handicap is the best bet there on Germany minus 1.75 on the Asian. You got a pick for -2 Asian as well in that game. Over 3 goals. Turkey against Montenegro was another one of my picks. And you got that parlay, which I'm going to put back on screen again there. Gyökeres to score. Go on, you got to say that name. I cannot.
Karim Aktürkoğlu.
Brilliant. There you go. And Zaragoza, Tino bet in Segunda, and that parlay's 12-1. But yeah, I've waffled on too long here, Jack. I've kept everyone too long. But have a great weekend, everyone, whatever you're taking. I know there's big baseball games. I know there's a full slate of NFL as well on there, and we've got soccer globally. So yeah, do cash and winners over the weekend. Monday, Dan Roebuck's going to be on the show with professional gambler Will White. They're going to be going through more Nations League and South American qualifying, but do gamble responsibly. Thank you very much, Jack. Appreciate you a lot, and best of luck.
Cheers all. Good luck.